Another week. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little fatigued. I I hate to just come in with not the same energy these last 2 weeks, but if you're a coach out there or a player or a fan maybe, and you were out there on Friday night and just all the bedlam that has ensued since week 0 has concluded, and it's only Monday. I'm like melting with this Bishop Montgomery drama. It is just, I wrote the lead to my story today, just man, when it rains, it pours. These guys can't get out of their way. So plenty to talk about with Bishop Montgomery, but was out on a game Friday night. Bishop Amat, Corey Miners back at his old stomping grounds. Just so much fun, man. I mean, 5,000 people on hand. They beat St. Paul 42-14. I was with Aram. If you didn't know, I highly recommend go to my channel, look for the Bishop Amat video, watch it. Fred Robledo, Aram and Fred picked St. Paul to win. I picked Amat. Amat won, so that was really funny. But a great week 0 game to be at, great atmosphere, and then ton of stuff to follow up over the weekend, rankings, top performers, stuff like that. That's the usual routine for me as a prep writer. And then you get into Monday and you look ahead, but sometimes just click gold, just manna falls from heaven, right? And I hate to sound like I'm happy that what's going on at Bishop Montgomery. That's not what I mean. But as a media person, you're thinking to yourself, hey, this is news. And so, yeah, for those that don't know, Bishop Montgomery played in Hawaii on Saturday against St. Louis, the #1 team in Hawaii, and actually put up a pretty good fight. And they did that despite, which is this turmoil at the program. So I can say 20 or more football transfers have come to Bishop Montgomery. And the first layer of transfers that were trying to get eligible, 5 of them got denied eligibility and got hit with bylaw 202, which basically is you're lying on your paperwork, you're done. And those kids have to sit out of sports, of any sport at any school in the CIF for 24 months. Now, there could be an appeal and maybe 1 year gets taken back, but that is pretty severe when you're talking about teenagers and parents. So that goes wrong, right? So that's a big story last week before games even get played, right? Bishop Montgomery, 5 players denied. Okay. They end up going to Hawaii. They play this game. Hey, they play #1 St. Louis, and they only lose 34-27. It's a good game from what I read about, but more drama ensues. These guys can't get out of their way. At the end of the game, with less than a minute to go, there is a skirmish on the field. And I would say most of the Bishop Montgomery team leaves the sideline. That's a big no-no. That's like in basketball, leaving the bench or like leaving the dugout in a baseball game. They review the tape, they pick out players and kids and so on at whatever level this is happening. And you get suspensions, tossed, can't play the next game. Depending on what you did, maybe you get a 5-game suspension, whatever the case may be. So Bishop Montgomery, the drama in Hawaii follows them to California back home. And we find out today that, they don't even have enough players to play against Big Bag Mater Dei, #1 team in the country on Friday. So I'm not to say I feel bad for Mater Dei, but I feel bad for those kids. They're out a game now. So Mater Dei will not play a game on Friday. It's the second year in a row they're going to have a 9-game regular season, which is kind of odd for the #1 team in the country, that for them not to have a full slate. So just wanted to set the table here, as my boy DT would say in the chat, just trying to set the table, man. I appreciate everybody here for watching. I will show this footage here in like 2 seconds. Just want to thank all those that have been here just about every week, man. Shermer, thanks for coming in here. Daniel Thompson, Rory O'Donohue, my boy Aram Legion, of course, my co-host, who I'll bring on here in a second. Steve Ramirez is in here, and a couple other regulars that I'll TK, thanks for Pat Hagen's in here. So guys, again, just appreciate the support. This thing's popping off pretty good. Things are getting better every week, and this is what it's all about. So without further ado, I am going to roll this Bishop Montgomery St. Louis footage. It's about 3 minutes long. I just want full context. I'll come back and I'll look at it, and then I'm going to bring Aram on. We'll chat about it, and then we'll talk more about all this Bishop Montgomery saga. Guys, there's going to be more denials of eligibility coming down the pike here. So it's just kind of like sad all around. And Aram actually is the perfect person to shed light on why these parents are listening to these movers and these shakers. Anyway, okay, let's get to the Bishop Montgomery-Saint Louis scuffle here. It starts with an onside kick with about 40 seconds left. And again, it's about 3 minutes long. I'm going to let it play out. Just bear with me. You guys will, it's the first time you've seen it. I don't think anyone's gotten this footage. No one has this. So I called a couple coaches and they hooked me up. Anyway, here we go.
Okay, the game has been called. The game has been called. The game is over. Everybody cool head. Cool down. Cool down, coaches. Get your kids back to the benches. Leave.
Okay, so it's not exactly a bloodbath, right? I think we can all agree with that. But now I'm kind of into this different angle here. We got the chat up. You see me in the corner. And I want to, before I bring Aram on, and thanks all, we got 100 people in here right now about. So, again, not a bloodbath, but what makes it a little bit dramatic is with 40 seconds left to go, it just seems so odd to me that, okay, hold on. We'll look at this one more time. I'll skip forward. So what we see on the right, that gets, if you can see my cursor, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but kind of middle of the screen here, I don't know if you can see this, I'm kind of circling it, maybe you guys can't see that. But off to the right, you see this kid, he gets his helmet thrown off. So there's a shove there, I don't know, not dead middle of the video, but like a little bit to the right. And I think he gets his helmet tossed off. But obviously it's unwinding over here on the right. There it is. Okay, there it is. So I was a little premature there. So at the end, so there's a little bit of touching, right? Okay, hey, come on. Now, Bishop Montgomery, as Aram said in the chat, they're in the white. So Bishop Montgomery's kind of on the left of this video. And as you can see, this is what they're getting suspended for. It gets worse, but guys are leaving the sideline. Well, you can't do that. But if you watch this skirmish, a helmet gets ripped off, and now all these St. Louis kids here in the blue are going over there. So naturally, Bishop Montgomery guys are running across. Now look at the floodgates pretty much. If I pause this, I mean, look at this. The whole team in white, Bishop Montgomery, is sprinting to what's going on, okay? So this is where, if you just pause this, and again, the video's not great because it's kind of small, but if I just pause this right now, look at the Bishop Montgomery sideline across the field. There's no one on it. So maybe on the far left, there's a kid. Maybe you can, if this was a different circumstance, you might have a little leniency to a couple kids that maybe have come out to like the far side hash, but the whole team is basically on the field. And Brock, you made a good point in chat. The St. Louis team, most of those guys are on the field too. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with their game next week. But I do want to mention something real quick before I bring Aram on. So I'm gonna kind of skip forward here. So it kind of looks like maybe cooler heads prevail, not that crazy. And then there's almost a little bit of a round two. Look. Okay, so now the coaches are getting into it. There's some reporting on that, and I'm going to get to that in a second from the local paper out in Honolulu. And this is at Radford High School, by the way. So look, so there's almost this second round of hostility. Look. See, now St. Louis is getting out to that field. So you're kind of thinking something could pop off again, but it doesn't. But it looks like the coaches, man, were in the middle there in that second part of this skirmish. And then I do want to bring up one more thing that I have here. Let's see what I got. Okay. So in my report, I want to just mention a couple things here. So this is my story from today. Mater Dei football week 1 opponent forfeits due to suspensions from on-field scuffle. Okay, yeah, we know that. Thanks, Tarek. Big deal. Okay. But what I want to get to is, okay, what happened? Okay, in the final minute of the game between St. Louis and Bishop Montgomery, the Honolulu Star Advisor reported, quote, tempers flared near the St. Louis sideline. After some shoving, which we saw, a St. Louis player on the sideline ran 3 steps onto the field, okay, and backpedaled, triggering a penalty flag. That's good reporting because if you watch the video, basically the flag gets thrown from a St. Louis player coming onto the field, and then, quote, then a St. Louis player yanked the helmet off a Bishop Montgomery player, and both teams began to empty the benches, sidelines, into each other. This is kind of like a typo, and ran onto the hash marks. Coaches on both sidelines berated each other at midfield. So that second part of the second part of the fight sounds dramatic. The second part of the scuffle, or the brouhaha, whatever you want to call it, was the coaches, man. And, you know, that's when you see the players kind of get back out there, and it didn't get any better. Another quote here from Ed Hotchkiss, who is the coach at Bishop Montgomery. Now, don't forget, a lot of guys are sitting in the portal waiting to be cleared or denied. Remember, 20-plus transfers. 5 of them have already been denied. My guess is they're not even on this trip. Maybe they are. Point is they can't play. Listen to what Hotchkiss says here. I'm glad for our freshmen. They were new to varsity football. Our team played one of the best teams in the nation and almost won. The reporter says Hotchkiss brought up 9 freshmen for this game because he was low on numbers because he's got a lot of transfers that are sitting in the portal. Okay, and then here to me is the quote of all. And then Aram, be ready. I'm going to bring you on here in a second. St. Louis was called for 10 penalties during the game, but their coach had something to say about that. This is what he told the local newspaper. Quote, they're poor sports, hitting our guys on the sideline. Their coaches were chirping and hitting our guys during the game, end quote. So that's what the coach from St. Louis told the reporter, the local reporter there. So there was a lot of, I don't know if you want to call it dirty play or what have you going on during this game. And clearly it reached like a boiling point. And so that's it. I mean, that's basically it. I know it's probably not as juicy as a lot of you intended, but the ramifications are now Bishop Montgomery isn't playing football for week 1 and Mater Dei's out of a game. And that's not cool, right? You know, you want kids to play. That's why they suited up. That's why they're lacing them up. So I'm going to get rid of this for, actually, I'll leave this up for now. And then I will bring on Aram. Aram, here we go, brother. Give me 1 second. Of course, we got to run the intro.
Tarek, bro, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
Aram, can you hear us out there?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, good. I always want to make sure, man. I gotta get a mic check with this stuff. Aram, I think you've seen enough. Just kind of your initial reactions on any of this. I just kind of want to give you a clean slate. And let me know if you want me to. And hold on, let me make sure you can see this. That's another thing of this. Hold on, properties, stand by here. I think you should be able to now see what is a basically paused video. Do you see that on your side?
Yep, of course, yeah.
Okay, so let me know what you want me to play back, if at all, but by all means, man, your initial reactions to this.
Yeah, what you're witnessing, everybody out there, is 7-on-7 culture with pads on. This is now spilled over, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. This is now spilled over to the actual games, and that's what you saw right there. So the important tenets of football, especially high school football, when these are still young adults, young, kids, if you will, sportsmanship, self-control, discipline, all out the window. Okay. None of that was on display there by coaches or players. And I think that St. Louis has a lot of blame there as well, because as we can see, and I'm watching on my other laptop, as we can see, they have pretty much their whole team out on the field from the jump of this video. So they're no saints in this either. It's very disappointing, Tarek, as a whole, what Bishop Montgomery has done to the sport and done the stain they've left on Southern California high school football this season. They've been a major story. They've been a major issue that people have seen coming from miles away. And it runs further now. So you have this wild offseason, all these transfers in. You have speculation as to whether they'll be cleared and what kind of team they'll have. You have the blow up last week with the guys being declared ineligible and probably more to come. And CIF physically visiting the campus, the commissioner visiting the campus. Hopefully we'll hear more about that in the future. And kind of warning of potential infractions for the school, or ramifications for the school or the football program to come. Now you have this. And out of this, you get the cancellation of the game against Mater Dei. So you have this embarrassing fight. You have the suspensions that have come with it. Now you have a pop-up program that's not able to field a team for its biggest game of the season next week. And this is just a joke, and CIF needs to do something about it. But to make matters worse, the purported money man behind the Bishop Montgomery program tweets out a day ago a picture of a betting ticket, a $200,000 wager on Hawaii. He acts CIF at CIFSS and says, "Aloha, bitches." That's the only text in it besides adding CIF.
I did not.
So he's happy. I guess he went to Hawaii, cashed a bet on Hawaii, and he's saying now, "Aloha, bitches." This type of attitude, this type of thumbing of the nose just cannot be tolerated. And I hope that people see what an embarrassment this is. Again, this goes back to what I said, Tarek, last week and previous weeks and in previous spaces for the last several years. There is a layer that has permeated the high school game now that we saw coming and people really did nothing about and have been all too accepting of. And this is the kind of crap that comes from that layer. There you have it. 7-on-7, street coach, street influencer, whatever, coach influence on this game and on the kids. And there's the end result right there.
Well, and for those that don't know, and you kind of one of the points you made was that this bad rap that SoCal football is getting, and you're right. I mean, look at Narbonne. Narbonne, and it's the same guys. That's what I think the CIF needs to maybe put a little more resources in, is stopping whoever this is or this group is jumping from school to school. And they're all South Bay schools. We talked about it in Spaces last week, where it's I think it was St. Bernard, we got Narbonne, and now we got Bishop Montgomery. They're all South Bay schools. Might even be thinking missing a school, but
Right.
yeah.
Now, where are these guys, Tarek? Where are these guys? Why doesn't the money man come on our Spaces? Why doesn't he come on this show? It's your show. I can't invite someone, but I'm sure you'd be down to have him on.
It'd be great to chat with him. I think this is a great medium for that, you know. And
why doesn't Hotchkiss come on and defend the situation? Why doesn't some of the assistant coaches who are very well-known guys, where are they? Why don't you come on and tell us on any of these platforms that we have, tell us what's going on. Tell us how we have everything wrong, because that's usually what you do. We've had you in Spaces already, and you explained away your crap before, and I wasn't buying it, but I guess a lot of people do. Why don't you come on and do that again now that it's reached this sort of level, this sort of peak level of garbage?
Yeah, it's not good. I think. Look, man, I think what's going to happen. I'll kind of repeat what I said in Spaces last week. For those that don't know, when you falsify information or you get caught trying to transfer, I might have said it at the top of the show, but it's bylaw 202, and that's what these kids got hit with. And what that means is you can't play high school sports for 24 months. That's 2 years. So you could try and go out for the swim team at another school, you can't compete. When you're trying to lie, you get in trouble. And what happened, and who ultimately pays the price for that? Obviously the kid. And I know, was it, I think Brock told me that the Summit kid told his team that he was transferring to Bishop Montgomery and he didn't want to go. And the parents were putting him over there. And then he got deemed ineligible. So this kid that didn't even want to move schools probably got, his parents might have gotten swooned by this handler. Hey, we're building a super team. Come on over. We got you. We'll probably put you in a place to live, blah, blah, blah. The wires got crossed, and this kid's not playing high school football now. And I believe he's a senior and a pretty talented defensive lineman with some college offers. So now he doesn't have a high school football season to play. So that's one example of a bevy of storylines where these kids, man, they get sidelined and it's really not their doing. I'm sure they thought to themselves, at 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, man, I can't wait to get to that team and play. But, they don't understand what's going on, man. So it's really, really sad. And I think if anyone is out there that knows these guys or has someone that can speak to this, of course, subscribe to the channel first. No, I'm kidding. Find me on Twitter and DM me. DMs are open. Instagram's there. It's not hard. I got an easy name. I'm not John Smith here, Tarek Fattal. So it's everywhere, on this stuff. So yeah, I mean, we'd love to get someone on and, give them their piece, give them their opportunity to speak on it. It's not like, hey, let me come on here and berate you. Come on. And if we're speculating, hey, set us straight. Don't you agree with that, Aram?
Yeah, I do. But, what you're going to hear is it's for the kids and we do this for the kids and I'm all about the kids and stuff like that. And yet none of that actually turns up in the action of these individuals. And it's an insinuation that the kids were being mistreated to begin with. I'd love to know what Toea, the kid from Summit, how he was being mistreated or misrepresented or not getting the fair shake offers-wise or recruitment-wise or had a chance to win a championship-wise at Summit. I'd love to know what the issue was there. Why don't those parents come on? How about that? We can have the parents come on. Whichever one of those parents that are out there, come on and defend this. Explain to us what we're missing here.
Yeah. I think anyone that's in here that knows any of these people, it would not be hard to DM me. So please, we'd love to have you on and talk about it, because the one thing I do think that's going to happen is that getting a 2-year basically ban from high school sports is so damning and damaging to these kids. I'd imagine if I'm a parent, and I've said this to you before, I'm scratching and clawing to get my kid at least 1 year back, Aram. So what does that mean? It's almost like like when the FBI, pulls in, someone in a movie. It's like they want you to talk. Hey, let's work out a deal. I'll give you a year back, but you got to tell me how this all works. Who's involved? And I think those parents, I think these guys these money guys, these handlers are going to be in trouble because you've got a plethora of parents. Their teenagers are sitting at home without being able to play sports. So I think they're going to talk, and by talk, I just mean comply, just answer questions that'll give CIF more information. But what CIF has done, and I think they always do, Aram, and I don't want to speak for CIF, but look, they're the governing body. I think they are basically urging the Archdiocese, Bishop Montgomery, the school, hey, you guys take care of this. You've been in violation. We caught you. Now this is your job to govern your own school. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the school is going to inflict some type of penalty, and then maybe the CIF, gives them a postseason ban for a year or two or something like that, or puts them on probation. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, well, Tarek, there are rules in place put forth by the Federation, made up by the Federation, that need to be adhered to. And all too often, this element scoffs at those rules. We can't just transfer without valid changes of residence according to the rules. If we want that changed, the schools that make up the Federation can, set in motion some sort of agenda that could be passed that would have that change and just let transfer culture go wild. But in the meantime, there are rules that you need to abide by if you are going to be a part of this federation. Bishop Montgomery is just the latest one that's clearly not trying to do that. We have other examples, though. Again, just locally, we had a school like Nogales that had guys ruled ineligible and played them anyways.
Right, I remember that.
How about that? And that got explained away by the principal.
Yeah. I think
you got to be kidding me.
And that's what's going to be, that's what I'm hoping. I want everyone to know I was trying to get Mike West, the commissioner of the CIF, on the show. And he's this is what I appreciate, man, very receptive. Answers my phone calls, answers my text messages. And I think more like the poor guy, okay, so all the bedlam of the denials of transfers and the drama. And then, he's supposed to come on the show today and more news comes down that these suspensions are going on. So I don't blame him. The water's a little hot right now for a commissioner to come on and talk about that stuff. So, but he was very receptive. Hey, Tarek, today's not a good day for a lot of reasons, but let's keep in touch. I think down the road, I think there's an opportunity for me to come onto the show. So as this storyline builds, there might be more light he can shed or more information he can share with us in regard to what his mission is as the new commissioner in his second year. Because, we've talked about it, the ADs are far more transparent in saying, man, the paperwork to get a transfer into our school is far more rigorous. There is more paperwork, and it seems to be a little more strict into what's required. So, it'd be great to hear, hey, Mike, is that your vision? Is that the CIF as a whole? Whose vision is it to make sure that this stuff is getting nip-tuck a little better? And I think what we're also seeing, Aram, and I think it's good. Look, I'm not trying to be, I think right now it's easy for us to sound like we're curmudgeons or, pedantic about rules. But really, I think what I'm upset about, and I don't want to speak for you, is, hey, man, these are kids and they want to play football. And so you get these adults that try to move and shake, and then the parents, the adults aren't getting punished. They're cashing in $200,000 bets on Hawaii, in fact, and flipping the bird to the CIF. So clearly there's no remorse for these young kids that are paying the ultimate price.
No, there's not. And I don't know what the adult's motivation is in this anyways. Like I said, I've said that many times before, but this again is, or theoretically is, the last pure form of football now that college football has become a business. And obviously the NFL is a business, and all that's understandable. There is an element out there that wants high school football to just be a free-for-all. They make money off of it. They're opportunists. They sell dreams to parents. that, come with me, let me point your kid to XYZ school, and you will get, more offers than you would have gotten where you are. These guys don't think high school coaches in the traditional sense are worth a crap. They think they're the recruiting influencers. They're the ones that pull the strings. And they also don't think that the rules apply, or else you would not have anyone attempting. I mean, Tarek, do you really think, pick a high school, do you really think majority of the high schools in the Mission League, or, well, maybe that's a bad example. I just think majority of the high schools will not even attempt to do what Bishop Montgomery attempted to do. Now, are there Mater Deis that get a lot of guys in? Yes. Is there a Tustin that gets a lot of guys in? Yeah. But on this scale, I don't think so.
And look, here's the difference. And if I'm being transparent, this is clearly trying to cut corners and lie. I would say that the bigger programs, I'm not going to say names because I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure. I've been doing this for a decade. The bigger programs, I hate to even put it this way, and tell me if you totally disagree, but at least they cheat honestly. I know that sounds really weird, but it's like, if I'm going to get a kid to transfer from school A and I'm school B, I'm going to make sure that I can give that family resources to move from school A to school B. It's a legit address change, so on and so forth. This point has been brought up over and over again. People forget not everyone owns a home. So if you're a family that rents, it's easy. Break lease, maybe the school takes care of that. You move, DWP, rental agreement, boom, you're moved. So what I'm trying to get at is, though I don't condone it, I'm saying at least if you're going to move kids, make sure you're doing right by the family and do it the right way. And I think a lot of programs do that, Aram. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that there is some truth to that Mater Dei, Bosco, and so on are sort of better at the routine than maybe a Bishop Montgomery, or not. I don't want to say obvious because I'm not sure that's the right word, but what Bishop Montgomery was doing was just very, very obvious this offseason. It's also those schools too. I mean, it's gotten to be such a rat race that they're just doing ridiculous stuff. Now, do those schools lose guys too? Yes. The question people need to do is kind of just ask themselves, if you will, do some soul searching, all of us, and ask yourself, what is the point of high school football? It's teaching kids how to, be fierce competitors, but also stay in control, have discipline, learn life lessons, sportsmanship, that no matter how hard you work, things are going to go against you sometimes. It's all these great things that lay the groundwork for them to go on. And I know I'm kind of romanticizing it here, but it's the truth. That lays the groundwork for them to go on and be productive adults, to have great adult lives. And in large part, a lot of them do. A lot of them go on to be cops, firemen, doctors, attorneys, go back and become coaches, stuff like that. Great things like that. It's just that this element here that has seen an opportunity to take advantage of desperate parents have worked their way into the situation, and this is the disaster. It's on everyone's screen still. This is an example of the disaster that's create, and this is no surprise. Again, I know we have 130 something in here now. When we first kind of started this, there was maybe 60 or 70. I will go back to saying what I said at the top. This is 7-on-7 culture playing out in pads on a field in the fall. It's not June or July. This is the actual season, and you're seeing it permeate to this.
Yeah. No, it's discouraging, and thanks everybody for being in here. I think we'll kind of put a bow on this. I've ran this thing now, probably 5 or 6 times. But yeah, I think it's sad, man. And so kids are out of games. And you know what's even more disappointing is there's more to come, as you said. There's going to be more denials. Will Bishop Montgomery even finish the season? Right? Is a total serious question.
Will their league even play them? Like Patrick Hagan asked, our boy Patrick Hagan, he was asking, will the league do what Narbonne's league did last year and just say, hey, we are refusing to play you guys this year in league? You know, you're talking like the Mary Star of the Seas type schools and stuff like that. Right. It's a valid question at this point.
No, it is. And that was the Marine League in the city section, you know, the Carsons, the Bannings, I'm trying to blank on the other schools right now, but they all basically boycotted Narbonne and decided that they weren't going to play him. And at the time, it didn't look good. And I'll be honest, I'm still not huge of you know, taking games away even from your own kids. But nevertheless, they ended up getting justified because Narbonne went on to win the city championship, and then the championship got vacated because they were found to be cheating and falsifying info and all that stuff. So
total mockery.
The Narbonne situation, for those that don't know, when that blew up, we're pretty sure, we are sure that the same people are now at Bishop Montgomery, and
some of them, yes,
and it's falling apart, man. So yeah, ugly, not what high school football is about. I get there's a lot of winners and losers here in this one, unfortunately, and most of them are losers, man. I feel bad. And the last thing I will say, I think, not to sound like a company guy, you know, or like a CIF person, but, you know, I always ask, you know, you always ask, so many people ask the CIF, hey, why don't they change things? And most of the gripes that people have with the CIF, transfer rules, division creating, playoffs, they're only griping because it impacts the top, 10% of teams. And so I always think to myself, most of the time, CIF will say, hey, look, I get it. We all care. We all think about the Mater Deis, the Boscos, the high-level teams and recruits. But that's only like 10 or 15% of the schools that the CIF services. They're really thinking about the regular high school kid, the other 300 schools that don't operate like this. So it is kind of odd and really sad that this kind of stuff gets attention. But hey, man, I got a job, you know. What do you want me to do, man? All right, last comment, Aram, and then we're gonna move on.
I don't really have one. I mean, you know, we're just gonna see how the rest of this disaster plays out. And again, I'm calling on CIF to hopefully, you know, really throw the book as much as they can at Bishop Montgomery, and for the adults that run Bishop Montgomery, I assume there are some, to take some sort of action against the people you have in place, the coaches, the athletic department. What are you guys doing?
There's so many. Fred Robletto's in here.
Yeah, he's going off.
Well, he's not going off, but I you know, that's the thing is I don't need to like be like politically correct. So I use the term cheat honestly. So now that's like what he's hanging his hat on. Yeah. But and then my buddy Dallas goes, dude, it's like giving your ball a better lie. And he's talking about golf. It's like the ball's in the fairway, but it's like on a weird piece of grass. Just bump it over an inch and then hit it. And you know what? I like that analogy. You know, it's like it's not like you're kicking the ball 30 yards ahead. You're just moving over to the side, give yourself a nice clean lie, and hit that thing. So I think Fred might even agree with that.
I do have actually one last bow to put on this thing. You know, where there is competition in place and where there is money involved, when we're talking about other things, there does need to be rules that keep people in check. Because when you're in competition, a lot of people will try and do anything they can to win. Or when there's money on the line, you know, if you're talking stock market or whatever else it may be, or just in business, there do need to be rules and laws in place to keep people in line, because otherwise they will get crazy and they will try things like this.
Yeah.
So this is a normal thing, and these rules need to be applied here, and they have been, and the punishment involved does need to be administered, because this just can't happen. And we're going to see how this plays out. It's not over. Right. And you know what, Tarek? There was one other thing. One other thing.
Go ahead. Fred's popping off in here, dude. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's rumors in the inbox, and I know you heard a little bit of this.
Go ahead.
Montgomery, was already in talks to cancel the Mater Dei game before they even left for Hawaii.
Yeah.
So that's just something to keep an eye. What do you have on that?
Yeah, I just think maybe as if the dust settles again, that's what's so interesting about this. And I want to be honest about sometimes how journalism and reporting works. Okay. There are times, Fred, you can chime in on this too, man. And Aram, you'll know there are times to go fast in storytelling and there are times to go slow. And I think right now there's actually so much pain at Bishop Montgomery. I hate to even say that over time, I think you're right, Aram. A parent might come forward and divulge some, but it's not going to happen like right now. The dust needs to settle a little bit. And down the line, I might be able to get a hold of a parent that would go on the record and go, you know what? When those kids were deemed ineligible, my son came home from practice and all the kids were talking about finding a way to get suspended in that St. Louis game so they didn't have to play Mater Dei. Now, that's just hearsay. It's a complete rumor, but that's how those stories come about weeks later, is you got to kind of let the dust settle and then someone comes forward. Sometimes, you know, crazy stories that are much more important and impactful than this, you know, years later, people come forward on different stuff, and that's a whole different bowl of wax. But point is that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about down the line, week 6, week 7, who knows what's going to be of this Bishop Montgomery team. And maybe there'll be someone that'll be willing to talk and shed some light. Not even necessarily about the Mater Dei thing or what happened in St. Louis, but maybe all of it.
Yeah. Just a reminder, everybody, if other people could be getting away with this, they would. That's what's scary about this. You know I tried to say, well, you know, other schools, would they even attempt this? The sad part is there's probably a lot that would, and there's certainly probably a lot that do that we, you know, just don't kind of know about it. And, you know, all right. Anyways.
Okay. Let me do a little housekeeping here real quick. There's some people that subscribe to the channel. Let me just give them a quick little thank you. Horatio Benitez, thanks for subscribing. Ray Galvan, thank you. Barry Colvin, Daryl Trujillo, thank you. Fernando Batello, Damon Carpenter, thanks for subscribing to the channel, guys. And everyone, thanks for being in the chat. Fred Robledo did, and he actually just basically admitted that I beat him in golf. Because he's responding to Dallas. Yeah, that's how Tarek beat me in golf, by improving his lie. Don't forget, man, a couple summers ago, we went at it, and I did come out the winner. And I tried to get him out there before the season started. Like, hey, Fred, let's get out there. Let's play. And he just continued to duck me. So anyway, we'll have to get out there another time. Okay, Aram, I think what we can do here, let me, if you don't mind, give ourselves a little break. Let me queue up my breakfast burrito real quick. It's only like a couple minutes. We'll talk breakfast burrito. We'll get into week 1, and then we'll call it a night. We got a couple picks. We'll talk a little bit of football, and then we'll get out of here. So breakfast burrito. I'm going a little throwback here. I would say, hey, you know what I'm doing? I'm cheating honestly here. Because the breakfast burrito last week was so good, and I compared it to sweet and savory, which is my best rated burrito I've ever done out in San Dimas. I thought, why not show the people on Fattal Factor what was my best breakfast burrito review? So this is sweet and savory in San Dimas.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tarek Fattal here. Another breakfast burrito review coming your way. I am at Sweet Savory Cafe and Bakery in San Dimas. One of my best buddies, who's also a local college basketball coach, recommended this to me, and I'll tell you right now, things are looking good. I get the savory burrito. It's $11. Great size. We'll get into it in a second. It's got kielbasa sausage, chorizo, bacon, cheddar cheese, and egg in it with salsa. You see the salsa, 2 salsas in there. So we'll get to that in a second. I'm about to walk out, and the sweet owner maybe, or manager, who knows, lady comes up to me and goes, hold on, don't go. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there. She goes back, and she brings me this complimentary. It's a mango, pineapple, orange drink or something. I don't know what it is. It tastes amazing. Just nice right off the bat before we've even taken a bite of this burrito. So we'll get into it in a second. Okay, it's like this place knows me. So I open it up. It's already cut in half. And if you've been following me in my breakfast burritos, you know I love a cut in half breakfast burrito. I'm taking this first bite. Oh, man. Okay. Oh yeah, the kielbasa sausage, fantastic. You should look in there and kind of not really know what's going on because the ingredients are mixed. There's flavor in here. This could set the new bar here. Get here. This is a 9-3 breakfast burrito. This is now a new Tarek Fattal breakfast burrito review record. San Dimas, sweet savory breakfast burrito, outstanding. Flavor, heat, cut in half, great hospitality, great customer service. I mean, what an experience. I might have to come back again tomorrow when I hit the Classic at Damien. Egg, cheese, sausage, potato. With the complimentary drink. I haven't even tried the salsa yet. Let me get a quick bite in. Let's see if I have time. Smells amazing. Got a little kick to it. Yeah, this is a problem. Get here. Breakfast burrito. Need to get it. Alt, new record. 9-3 on this burrito. Sweet Savory Cafe and Bakery in San Dimas.
It was a great burrito, man. That kielbasa was unreal. Don't worry, Aram, I'll get you going here. I gotta put this back up. Yeah, man. Listen, if you're out that way, sweet and savory, so good, so good. And the kicker is such a good burrito for $11. I mean, it's really, really a great deal. So sweet and savory. And now, Aram, now I did that review like in 2021. Have you been there since I've done the review?
Still haven't been,
Okay.
and I really need to go. I gotta say, that's a sexy looking burrito, like better than what you usually review. I couldn't hear the sound. Refresh my memory. What was the meat in there?
Kielbasa.
That's it. There was no ham or anything.
No, I think there was some other stuff in there too, but the kielbasa was like the star of it. There might have been some chorizo in there or something. I kind of forgot, but man, it was just so flavorful. And again, a good size for just $11. Like it was the epitome of what a breakfast burrito is. I always say this. Look, guys, breakfast burritos are, I think, meant to be eaten like in the car, on the road, right? Like kind of on the go. If you go sit down and you're having breakfast with family or you go to brunch, rarely do you order a breakfast burrito and eat it at the table. I'm not saying you can't, but usually you're getting eggs Benedict, an omelet, right? A grand slam breakfast with pancakes or whatever. You know, the breakfast burrito, this burrito was perfect for that, man. That's why it scored so high.
Yeah, it looked, fantastic. I gotta just find a way to get to San Dimas and get out there and try that. I'm gonna have a burrito tonight for dinner after the show. I just don't know from where yet. If I'm gonna go the Alberto's route, or like we talked about before the show, I'm thinking maybe go to Chipotle and just play it safe.
Aram, let's get into some picks. I do want to try and keep this thing a little bit tighter tonight. So yeah, I think we get into it, man. There's some big games. There's a couple games there's about 4 games we're gonna pick. There's really not that many great games to pick. And then we'll talk about a couple. And then I want to give a couple, I'll kind of let you go. You can stick around if you want, but I think I'll let you go. And then I want to give a couple shout outs. There was 4 quarterbacks I really wanted to highlight on this that had some great games for week 0. The big one on Thursday night, my friend, Corona Centennial in Santa Margarita. I'll set the stage real quick. Dominic Catalano, right? I mean, we know the name. I think stepping into the role for the first time as a full-time starter, and he balled out, man. 300-plus yards, 4 touchdowns, and they rolled Servite at home. So now they're on the road to Santa Margarita, who, if you guys don't remember, played Mission Viejo, and they lost 7-3. So something's got to give here, right? Aram, you got our Carson Palmer coach team only scoring 3 points, but only letting up 7. It's pretty impressive to a Mission Viejo team. And then Corona Centennial, the juggernaut that they are with that high-tempo offense, can they put up another 40-some? Is Santa Margarita's offense going to get better? I mean, so many of these teams get better just in 1 week. So what are your initial thoughts on this game? And then we'll get to picks. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually watching the replay of the Mission Viejo Santa Margarita game on YouTube. Max Preps streamed it. 25,000 views as of last night when I was watching it. I didn't know they got those kind of views on a game like that. So that was pretty impressive. What was also impressive is Tarek. Both teams looked legitimately good defensively.
Okay.
There was some sloppy offense, But, when it's Fahey against the Santa Margarita kid who was, I can't remember his name. He's going to Tulane.
The Santa Margarita coach or Santa Margarita quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Trace Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson. That's right. He has both Mosley brothers. I don't know if you know that now. Trent Mosley has a younger brother who's actually got a taller frame at least. Maybe he's going to be even bigger weight-wise, who's a sophomore. Very, very nice looking player. So the defenses looked good. So if Santa Margarita can fire that kind of effort defensively against Corona Centennial, which why couldn't they? And there's any sort of improvement from Carson Palmer with that offense this week, which there should be. Like I said, they got 2 Mosleys now. The QB's a Tulane commit. He still has issues here and there. Brock and I saw, our boy James Brock, who's in here, saw that a little bit at the Battle of the Beach. If they improve any, I think they're good enough defensively to win this game. This is not going to be the sort of walk that it was for Corona Centennial last week against Servite. So I'm going to take Santa Margarita to rebound here.
Love that. Love that because I took Centennial.
Oh, okay.
I took Centennial. Cool. I think it's not rare at all levels of football that the defense is a little bit ahead. Not in every case. We saw some big scoring games too. But most of the time, the defense is a little bit ahead. So I think I just think that Centennial defense is going to get shored up, and the offense isn't going to drop as much. And I just put in my prediction Corona Centennial, and I'm betting on Matt Logan. That's where I think the difference is going to be made. So you got Margarita, I got Centennial. Love that. We don't have to pick this game. I just want to talk about it, and I've been talking about it for a couple weeks. And that's Sarah Gardena and Hamilton. I'll just set the stage, get a quick comment from you, and we'll keep it pushing. Once again, this is that Thaddeus Bro, freshman quarterback, 6'5". He's already got like a 247 Sports profile for whatever that's worth, but I think he's already got a couple offers. 6'5" freshman quarterback at Hamilton High School. They got a new stadium that they're unveiling on Thursday night, and of course their coach is the gentleman Elijah Asante, who is like just Mr. Quote, Mr. PR machine. And so they're hosting Sarah Gardena, who beat Palos Verdes 26-0 in week 0. And let me tell you something about this Gardena team that's scary. I think historically, they've always been known for speed and skill. Is that a fair assessment? Okay. Well, they got some size up front, too, in Kari Wilder, who's an Ohio State defensive lineman, and he put his highlights out from what he did in week 0, and everyone's raving about him like this guy's going to be in the NFL one day. He's going to Ohio State, so I don't know if Hamilton has 3 guys that can block this guy. So I think it's going to be ugly, but I will say this. Obviously, I picked Gardena Sarah to win the game. I did say this, though.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
If Hamilton can keep it somehow like within 3 scores, I don't even care if Sarah Gardena keeps it off, takes the pedal off. Like, if this isn't a running clock game, I'll be impressed. I really will. And if you know anything about the city section, it's kind of wide open. So maybe Hamilton can, with these tough games, then they get to the city section, their league, and so on and so forth, and they can roll through it a little bit. So anyway, I think it's really, really going to be interesting. Your thoughts?
I just want to see how they stack up. That's quite it. Simply, I'm not buying the Hamilton hype. Remember, Elijah Asante is a good salesman.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't think they're going to win either, but I'm just curious if they can keep it competitive. And if they can, maybe a silver lining there. Okay, freshman quarterback. Oak Hills at Amat. This one will be fun. Aram, I think I'm going to let you go first. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, D2 team last year versus team that didn't make the playoffs at all. If I told you that, traditionally you'd say Amat was the D2 team, and Oak Hills was the team that didn't make the playoffs at all. But that's not the case. That's not the state of the 2 programs right now. Oak Hills 10-0 last year, goes into the playoffs, loses to Oaks Christian in the first round. But we all know what a juggernaut D2 is from top to bottom.
Yes.
Bishop Amat, no playoffs, very bad year, 2-8 season, a lot of turnover. They sort of stopped the bleeding, if you will, against St. Paul, the game that we were at, Tarek. But again, this is what I kind of talked about with Freddie earlier today in another prediction show. I did not see a lot of plus yards plays by Ama. I saw a very good running game and a very good running back in Ryan Salcedo. I don't think you're going to be able to pound the rock like that against Oak Hills. And conversely, I think Oak Hills is going to be a much better offense for that Amat defense to go against than St. Paul was. So I like Oak Hills here. I've seen that some of their coaches kind of took exception to what I was saying about their offensive line. The report that I got on it, and keep in mind, they have good offensive lines. So when you say that this is the worst one in 3 or 4 years, you're still talking about very, very good. It's just, can you compare them to that? I saw one of their coaches, I can't remember his name. He was like, I didn't know an offensive line with, 2 sophomores with offers and a freshman or whatever that has offers is, that bad. But whatever, we'll see. I'm going with Oak Hills here, bro. What do you? And by the way, I want to remind you, you went viral because of Bishop Amont. You tasted what Freddie tasted years ago and how he grew his Twitter following by loving up on Ahmad and that fan base. So you can't pick against him now, Tarek.
Yeah, I will say this, and I just want to be honest. I've kind of been the beat writer for Sierra Canyon the last almost decade, and I will say this: the Amat thing is fun, but it doesn't compare to going viral on breaking news on like LeBron James' son. I'm just being honest. So I'm used to it in that sense. It's been really fun and a little more endearing. The Sierra Canyon basketball, for the past 6 years with Bronny and Bryce and getting all that, being on the inside of that program and breaking news. It's cool. It makes you look like you're doing your job because you are and all that stuff. And it's fun to see your name kind of blow up when you break that kind of stuff. But I will say I wouldn't say it's fleeting. It's just kind of like empty calories, The Amat stuff, I could tell they really appreciated the coverage. You know what I mean? It's a little different. So I really enjoyed the community, and I hope they get good enough I can go back one day. I really, really do. That being said, I picked Oak Hills to win the game. I think I just think they're just going to be a little bit nastier, a little bit more physical, and I just think the Bulldogs are going to get it done. This is a team that's a little the pedigree is a little bit higher as of late, where Amat's trying to still get back to that. So great first game, beating St. Paul, thumping them, but I agree with you. Those things, they're not going to be able to do those same things against Oak Hills. And then I think to myself, not that Oak Hills isn't athletic, but Bishop Amat, to me, seemed a little, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but there were boundaries to their game a little bit, where, okay, if the run gets stopped, well, can you throw it to space? Is there an athlete on the outside? I didn't really see that. I think you mentioned that in your spaces with Fred this morning, and I agree with that. So if you're gonna zig and that gets stopped, I didn't see a lot where can Bishop Amat zag. I don't know. It was only one game. Frankly, they were running over St. Paul so much you didn't need another game plan. So kudos to them. But yeah, I think Oak Hills comes to town and despite what I think will be a victory, I think Bishop Amat will get better for it. That's where I think the difference is now. Because the energy will stay the same.
Tarek, I just wanted to say something. I noticed like our guy Dallas Rutherford, he's kind of following the Dodger game as he's in the chat and following the show. We want to let everybody know, obviously we're going to be doing this show every Monday night. Join us in the chat. We're going to be watching these things too. We know there's going to be overlap with Monday Night Football eventually. We know next week on the holiday, it'll be fourth quarter of Bill Belichick's debut at North Carolina against TCU. Get in here. We'll be watching the same thing you are. It'll be a spot for you to, share your thoughts and all this stuff and sweat your bets. So don't think because there's other things going on that this can't be interactive with the show, because it's going to be. Because I guarantee you, Tarek, I'm going to be commenting like on Monday Night Football while it's happening and bets and stuff like that.
Especially if there's something tight, this will kind of turn into almost like a reactionary stream while we're watching for, whatever, 10 minutes as things get, down to a 2-minute drill or what have you. So well said, Aram. Thank you for doing that. You're always hyping and supporting me, man. So I really appreciate it. So we both got Oak Hills. Let me move on. I think we got like 2 more games to pick, and then we'll pretty much move on and call it a night. And we're going to wrap this thing up here. Okay, Damien at J. Sarah, not generally a sexy game that would be, you know, a headliner, but I wrote this up like, okay, Damien, who is supposed to be maybe the front runner to win the baseline league, and we've said, very good league, competitive, so if you win that league, you're probably a pretty good football team. They squeak by Aquinas by 20-15, and our boy Gavin Williams, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, the guy basically single-handedly won them the game, I think. Okay, then you got J. Sarah that lost 35-0 to Sierra Canyon. So to me, this is another something's got to give here. Is Damien maybe not as good as we thought, squeaking by an Aquinas? Not to say Aquinas can't play football, but I think we maybe expected that game to be have a little more separation. Again, week 0, we get it. J. Sarah, 35-0? Are they that bad? Or no, they're going to shore it up. They're at home, Damien comes to town, and they figure things out. That being said, I took J. Sarah. I always lean, and you've heard me say this a million times, I always lean on pedigree and kind of what your program's used to. J. Sarah is used to week in, week out, monster football. Not saying Damien isn't, but not to that level. So something about a Trinity League team getting thumped 35-0 and then playing at home to Damien and then losing sounds like a free fall to me. Like, uh-oh. And I just don't think J. Sarah's there yet. So give me the Lions. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So this would be a very nice feather in the cap, playing off what you said, for Damien to go on the road deep in the heart of, Trinity League country and get a win against J. Sarah. But also, like you said, teams improve drastically from their first game to their second, and especially when they're coached by good coaches. And that's exactly what Victor Santa Cruz is and his staff are at J. Sarah. So you can bet your butt they're going to make adjustments. They will be a much better team. It's kind of like why I like Santa Margarita over Corona Centennial.
Okay.
Because good coaching staff's going to learn a lot. There will be adjustments. Things will be made. But is there another gear or two for J. Sarah to go to? If there is, we're going to see it in this game, because they're going to view this as a team we should be.
Absolutely.
Defensively, they're good enough to put the clamps on Damien. Now, Garrison, one of Damien's top weapons, I don't think played last week. If he, I believe that's his name, Garrison. If he's back, and they have their full complement, they're led by one of the best QBs in the Southern section in Isaiah Ariaza.
Yeah.
And I just think that having the more trustworthy offense and going against a team that maybe can't threaten you too badly when you're on defense, that would be J. Sarah's offense against the Damien defense. I don't think Damien's going to get lit up in this spot. I just trust Ariaza, the QB, to make the plays needed down toward, the end of a close game to get this win. So I'm gonna lean here with Damien's offense being a little bit better, a little bit more trustworthy right now than J. Sarah. And I'm going to take Damien to go get this win. And if they do, Tarek, then we can start talking about baseline league. Where does it rank among the top leagues in SoCal?
Okay.
And we can also start, discussing Damien, D2 team, that type of stuff. So give me Sparty here.
Okay, no, I like the pick. I'm never mad at that, because I think you want Damien to win, and that'll spur and jumpstart so many great storylines, as you're alluding to, for the rest of the year. And you just hope, look, we've all seen it, where these programs, they go to I wouldn't say a small program, but programs that shouldn't win per se, or that are underdogs, they go on the road, they beat a team maybe they shouldn't, and then you think, man, this could be a special year for this team. And then they fizzle and they start losing games they shouldn't. So hopefully that's not the case for Damon, if they can pull it off. But I do think J. Sarah is going to win.
Okay, I see someone in the chat, Tark. I don't mean to interrupt.
No.
Harrison is out for 7 games. I don't know if that's true or not. But if they don't have him, that hurts. If they don't have him again, that's painful.
Okay. Thanks for that tidbit there, Chris Ryan. Thanks for that tidbit. And real quick, Steve Ramirez goes, "Hey, Tark, where's this chat?" He said something like, "Hey, if there's a great game on, just put the game on my stream while we're going." Now, Steve, that would basically get my channel deleted, because that would be a huge copyright infringement. So yeah, man, we're not gonna do that. But I appreciate the idea. Okay, last pick here. little bit more of a daily news kind of game of the week flavor. Not to say that these programs don't matter, but certainly in Northern Los Angeles they do. And I think in regard to programs, these could be Division II programs right here, Aram. Division II, likely top end of Division III. So solid football, and that's Valencia and Chaminade. Two really good quarterbacks. Valencia's got Brady Bretthauer, who I think like all purpose went for like 300 plus yards in their win last week over Simi Valley. And then Chaminade has this rising junior named Cameron Pooley, who is lit up Oaks Christian, and that's not easy. And so, Valencia, Larry Muir, been there like a million years, great coach, solid program out of the Foothill League. Somewhat down over the last like 10 years in comparison to where Valencia used to be like in the early 2000s or late 90s. Things have changed for public schools, of course, especially out there. But Valencia still runs the league. Good football program. And their best player is Brian Bonner, who is a Washington commit running back. One of the top prospects in California. Although he didn't have that great numbers last week, so I don't know if they used him as a decoy and Bretthauer ran amok. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Last ad, Chaminade. The reason I picked them third to finish in the Mission League is they've got this monster offensive line, and so that clearly showed against Oaks Christian. I picked Chaminade at home to beat Valencia.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here, Tarek. I do like that two-headed monster that Valencia has. Stud running back, stud QB. That's very good, and it kind of looks like this. Well, I should say this: when Valencia is on their game, they're like a solid D2 level team.
No question.
In recent years, they've been more like D5, D4.
Yep.
Chaminade, though, when they're on their game, there's even talk sometimes about them being D1. Not in the Trinity League top 5-ish area, but somewhere if we're talking 16-team playoff, of D1 traditionally, or even 12, you're talking about them in the 10 to 16 range.
Yeah.
If we want to believe Chaminade's back, then theoretically, Mission League team, Mission League contender is a better bet than Valencia. I don't know that I'm putting all that stock into what happened last week quite yet. So I'm going to go with Valencia here. I think they're the underdog, but I love that two-headed monster. Foothill League team, play with a lot of pride. Don't know a ton about these two programs if you guys can't tell, but very excited to see this result. Give me Valencia.
Yeah, no, it's not. You want Valencia? Oh, I like that. Okay, cool, man. We got a couple. Yeah, we're going opposite ways here on this. I just, that'll be a fun one. That'll be basically, if you guys don't know, I've been freelancing for the Daily News and doing rankings and all kinds of stuff. They don't have a full-timer anymore, so they're looking for people to contribute. I'm like, hey, I'm sitting here if you guys don't care. So even though I work for High School on SI, they have me writing some hyper-local things. And in the rankings this week, I put, Sierra Canyon's number 1, Chaminade 2, Valencia number 3. So this is a 2 versus 3 matchup in the area. That's fun. And I think it'll be a really, really good game. Sierra Canyon's playing Oaks Christian. So I'm going to go to that game on Friday. But, man, I was thinking about going to this one. But I'll catch Chaminade another time because I think they're the sleeper team. I picked them third because I think Gardena Serra is probably a little better, but something you alluded to, like if Chaminade messes around and beats Gardena Serra and it finishes second in the Mission League, or I don't know, maybe knocks off Sierra Canyon, wins the league, something crazy like that, has this stellar year, they could be a team that is plagued by their success and gets thrown into Division I because they go 10 teams or 12 teams. So very possible. Very possible.
Tarek, I get the feeling like we're seeing a little bit of the development or a developing story of a resurgent Mission League as a whole, top to bottom. If you're just kind of basing off week 0 results, maybe the league's going to be better this year, top to bottom being the key word, than it has been in recent years.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, Ahmad was bad. Loyola, I'm kind of curious to see what Loyola does, man. They had that huge exodus. look, they got a new president, Jamal Adams, who used to be the basketball coach.
Yeah, good guy.
So they had a great guy. And so football guys leave, and then they got a new basketball coach. Well, he's got 3 new transfers. So, so I don't know what's going on over there, but they're seeing football players leave and basketball players come in. So, anyway, interesting going on. Okay, guys, I think that does it for picks. Those are some of the top games. Centennial at Margarita. Sarah Gardina is going to travel to Hamilton in what I don't think will be a close game, but a fun storyline with their freshman quarterback at Hamilton. Oak Hills at Aumont. We both picked Oak Hills. Damien at J. Sarah. I've got J. Sarah. Aram has Damien. Chaminade, Valencia. I've got Chaminade. Aram's got Valencia. So that is some fun stuff. We'll see how that goes next week. I am going to wrap up here, Aram, on my own. My man, thank you as always for joining. This show would not be the same without you. Thank you so much for getting in here and putting in some work every week. I'm going to give a couple shout outs here for another 5 or 7 minutes and close up shop. Just a last ad. I can't see it completely because my dashboard's kind of cut off, but it looks like, let me maximize this real quick. Yeah, not a bad night, man. A steady 100+ viewership live the whole night. So guys, thank you. And then the stream itself in totality is almost 1,400 views in an hour and 20 minutes. So hey man, every single week this thing grows. So we're getting somewhere, and we picked up some more subscribers. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Aram, thank you for being part of this. Hey man, if it so inclines you, go ahead and get a photo and tweet out what you end up getting for dinner tonight.
Okay, we'll do it.